My name is Dr. Ignacio Ciampitti. I'm a cropping system specialist at Kansas State University. And together with faculty from this university, Dr. AJ Sharda, we start discussing the data sources. This section will provide an overview from data types, information collected from different sources, and will provide some, strong understanding on what are the different type of on-farm data. Just to identify data sources, there are some ones that will be freely available, farmers will have access to, and there is some another type of data that the farmers are the ones generating that, like a yield monitor information or any information that is by ground sensors. Knowing the different type of data that is available is critical for taking decisions. Moving forward and utilizing that different type of on-farm data layers and looking at prescriptions, for input decisions or management is critical for advancing in precision ag. So if we move to what is the agricultural sources, and we call this section Ag Source 101. What are the main data sources? So our team divides this information into agronomic and machinery types. The agronomic divided into soils, crops, weather, and remote sensing. And the machinery is specifically everything related to operation and a supply in. So when farmers decide, I would like to use the information to take decisions, they will be facing this situation. They will be facing situation that where on-farm data comes from different type of sources. From our soils, as an example, we can have information on soil type from Surgo, publicly available, or grid sampling on-farm generated by collecting samples from the soils. From the crop side, anything connected to farmers going out to the field, scouting for pests, integrated pest management to decide and take a decision on the application, or information collected on plant traits like stand counts or taking yield estimations. And the last one is also to emphasize when farmers want to understand the nutritional status on a plant to decide to do plant tissue analysis. On the weather side, farmers have access more readily to any information collected from local weather stations, real-time information on precipitation and temperature, or any information on meteorological stations, collecting real-time data on frost and water deficit. Remote sensing is a little more complex and challenging. We have 4 different sources, just to provide examples on satellite and all the different type of sensors, airplanes, ground sensors like green seeker, Lycor, SPAD, and drones. With different type of sensors, cameras, multispectral, or just simple RGB cameras. Last 2 ones, when we enter to the machinery side, the operation side, anything related to performance of the machine, fuel consumption, or speed, sensor data. And the last one related to applications, seeding rate, prescription, yield monitor information, anything connected to soil mapping, electrical activity, and different equipment like a sprayer and looking at flow rate, pressure, and prescription. So let me give you an example of a case study. Farmers today are facing multiple types of different data sources, from soils, weather, remote sensing, plants, machinery. Farmers, when they are taking a decision, they are selecting some of the layers. In this case, I'm showing a few examples on soil type, grid sampling, satellite, ground speed, and yield monitor. Those layers are considered, to increase the knowledge on the variability of the field with the goal of creating what we call the management zones in this example. Areas of the field that the farmers will be able to manage in a more uniformly approach. So let's go to specifically one by one examples of different type of data. Here I'm showing the soil data. Here is an example of one field looking at Surgo data, showing all the different soil types and organic matter and different soil parameters. Example on remote sensing data, satellite from different type of sensors, timing of the year, and resolutions. We go from very coarse resolution, large pixel size on Landsat, and then all the way to the rapid eye, which is a high-resolution satellite. When you look at also knowing about features of the field, LiDAR is an example of understanding situations like altitude positions, slope, or even how the water flows in the field. Here is another example of the complexity of all the different types of data layers. Lastly, is the machinery or ground sensors data. In this case, this section is also very rich. It can go from machinery equipment like electrical activity, planting data or yield monitor, and also can be collected with ground sensors, like in this situation, using just a handheld ground sensor to identify and create a water content map. Main goal, once we start looking at all the different layers, is to create this situation as we call the potential different management zones. These are areas of the field that the farmer will manage more uniformly. Here in the example, we are showing green sections of the field, potentially high yielding areas, red sections, low yielding areas. So key takeaways from this presentation, there are multiple types of sources, timing and applications. It matters when we are selecting sources. The availability of data is complex. Some of the data is publicly available, but processing and access to the data is not that easy. Challenges for farmers is how to identify and access to that data. And our last point is how to utilize the data. Knowing when, where, how, and what are the really next steps on how really to use all the different sources to take actions. So now, I would like to pose a question and get some feedback from our viewers. What type of remote sensing data do you usually use?